This episode of the Beauty Industry Podcast was brought to you by Private Label Skincare, handcrafted natural skincare products for busy beauty entrepreneurs. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Reid. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Hello, beauty community. In the recent speak and movement of self-care during testing times and the power of the hair and beauty industry coming together, I couldn't think of a better conversation to share with you all today other than the one I had with the lovely Louise Bryant, the CEO of newly launched haircare range Blondi Beach. Louise's career began first in print media at none other than Vogue Australia and branched out into hair care after long days at the beach, resulting in dry, damaged hair from the sun, salt and chlorine effects, showing you that pivoting and stepping outside of your comfort zone and into uncharted waters can often lead us to finding a passion we perhaps never realised was within us to begin with. The startup story of how Louise created and formulated the range is nothing short of a homegrown inspiration, which is real and relatable for so many of us when we sense a brand creation could be on the horizon, while too exploring the roadblocks that can be faced along the way. You'll hear today that the Blondi Beach products are formulated using plant-based ingredients, are free from parabens and sulfates, and also too is vegan friendly and not tested on animals, which form the basis of their hair care range, something I know so many of you are passionate about when it comes to skincare too. I loved Louise's story and I hope you do too. Here is Louise Bryant and I for Beauty Industry.
Tamara, thank you for having me today.
Thank
it's lovely
you so
to
much.
catch up.
Likewise, it's so lovely to be able to connect with you because you're creating massive waves in the hair and beauty industry at the moment, and I'm so thrilled to be able to speak with you. We ask all of our guests at the very beginning of our podcast when and why and how they entered into the roles that they're in today. So if we could start there, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so that's right. I have formulated a hair product, but I work full time. I work currently. I'm managing editor at Vogue, and it's an immensely rewarding job. I am very lucky to work with an incredible group of talented people who I learn from every day. But in my spare time, I work also on my hair product, which is Blondi Beach, and it's formulated here in Bondi, and it's certainly not an overnight success story, mm-hmm. and it may not even be a success, but certainly it's been a very rewarding experience.
Amazing. Yeah. I love when people say in their spare time because no one has spare time.
Well, I think, work-life balance is a myth perhaps, but no, I mean, I think, I find the weekends are very much dedicated to working on my product, and it's, you really have to be, I guess, a little bit organized with your time, but it is, it's great fun. I mean, I think, if I wasn't doing the hair product, I would be doing something else, whether it's studying or, doing another. I think it's important to have, very, different interests outside of work, no matter what you do.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, my husband and I, we often take the boat out. We're up in Queensland and we'll go out fishing at, silly o'clock in the morning. We'll spend the whole day there and go swimming. And it's such a different environment to what I'm doing all day, podcasting and connecting with business owners. And I really like that kind of contrast between the two because that does feel like life, and this very much feels like business. So sometimes when you've got that passion externally, it just kind of opens up your whole peripheral, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And I think it's important to expand on all different aspects. I mean, there's so many interesting opportunities everywhere. So it's good to explore those, definitely.
Yeah, amazing. And so coming from editor at magazine, where was the branch and connection into hair care?
The brand or the idea eventuated before my time at Vogue. So I was working. I've always worked in media, but I had always, just been obsessed by hair products, and I have not only do I have, coloured bleached hair, blonde hair. I swim at the beach every day, and I found that I was just constantly getting dry, damaged hair. I've had hair breakage in the past, and I just felt that I needed to find something that would really protect hair from salt and chlorine effects, and I couldn't really find anything that was suitable. But in the meantime, my local hairdresser had a product that his father had formulated many years ago, and he asked me to help him, just from a PR point of view. And when I looked into it further, I just sort of wasn't convinced or that happy with the actual formulation, and I didn't particularly like the packaging, which I was very upfront with him about. And so that sort of set me off on a path of exploring how would you formulate or create a hair product. And that's when I discovered that you can either go private label or white label. And I'm sure your listeners would be familiar with the two. And I just thought if I was really going to do something, I wanted to do it properly. And I decided that I wanted to formulate the product myself. And so that then, I guess I just became absolutely fascinated by ingredients and formulations, and what are safe chemicals. Not all chemicals are bad, but equally I wanted to make what is now becoming a more sort of common turn of phrase, but very much a clean beauty product. So wherever possible, I wanted to use safer alternatives. And I know we're all familiar with, silicons and sulfates and pegs and all these sort of bad words, but really what was, what function did they have in a hair product? Were they really bad? What are some better alternatives? And so I've spent a lot of time researching ingredients, because my background is I'm not a scientist or a chemist formulator, certainly, but all self-taught.
Amazing. I never actually realized the kind of effect of the PEGs and the silicones and bits and pieces like that until once I was actually at my hairdresser, and she got a sharp end razor blade, and she started almost, like it was very, how can I explain this without showing people? It was, sliding it along the hair almost. And she
creating a plastic film.
Yes, that's it. She showed me the razor blade, and it was all full of this white stuff. And she said, Tamara, that's the buildup from your product. And I was like, oh my goodness. And that to me just made so much more sense that, okay, you need to be using things that your hair likes. And it's so silly to come from somebody in the skincare industry when we talk about this all day, every day, but then, you kind of just dismiss another part of your body, which is so crazy.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, again, I think, you should really treat your hair like you would treat your face. And, we spend a lot of time on our, facial products, and I guess scrutinizing the ingredients that we use on our face. So why wouldn't you do the same for your hair products? And, we live in Australia. We have beautiful native botanicals that are so beneficial, but we also have access to some really beautiful ingredients that we can use for our hair, which we're very fortunate. So
yeah, absolutely. And so what did the timing look like and that process look like for you from deciding, okay, here's a great product and concept, but it's not quite what I want it to be. I could do it a little bit differently, to actually going ahead and creating something. And what was the very first thing you did?
Well, the first thing I did, I stumbled across a cosmetic manufacturer that were based in Sydney. It took me a while to find the right supplier and manufacturer, and once that happened, I was then I had access to a brand manager who was on hand to provide and steer me in the right direction, because there's so many different facets to creating a hair product. And at that point, I decided just to focus on the hair oil, which is a protective hair oil to protect against salt and chlorine effects. It's multi-use, so you can use it. You can also use it on your skin. But I decided to sort of focus on that one particular product to start with, because hair oils were starting to gain a bit more sort of interest, I suppose. And I personally found it incredibly beneficial. And I sampled, I sort of wanted to ensure I was on the right path. So, friends and family got involved, and also, I mean, because I'm not a chemist, formulated. It was important that I had access to an expert in that area. So, I sort of came armed with, questions, and I just, really had to ask lots of advice, and that I'm not, usually, no one wants to ask for help, but you have to sort of, that was an important aspect to starting the brand and building it up.
After the break, Louise and I talk about hair repair, the criticism and self-doubt that comes along with running a business. But first, a word from today's beauty partner. Friend and feature of the podcast, Karina Khan of Private Label Skincare is currently helping aspiring beauty entrepreneurs start their own professional, natural and vegan skincare range for only $500. Yes, that's right. For this small investment, you'll get everything you need for your very own skincare brand to get off the ground with products that are ready to sell in just 2 weeks. Included in this incredible deal are 30 retail-size products that have been formulated and tested by Karina, the founder and qualified cosmetic chemist behind Private Label Skincare, 2 online courses that have been written specifically to support skincare business owners, label templates and printing, a training manual, and free postage and handling within Australia. There's never been a better time to make use of your downtime, get creative, and start building the business and brand that you have always dreamed of. This offer will only run until Tuesday, 29th of April 2020, so if you're looking for an affordable, quick and easy way to start your own skincare range, then you best not miss out. Visit www.privatelabelskincare.com.au for more information. And now back to Louise. Yeah, I think sometimes when you're not in it and you're the consumer, you actually ask questions that perhaps people who are in it wouldn't have thought of. It's like people don't know what they don't know, but when you're external, you have a completely different insight into what you're looking into. So you being just the native consumer going, well, how does this feel and why doesn't this wash out properly, or what is this texture and tone, then the chemist is going, oh, okay, well, but whereas if they had somebody who was already in the hair industry, they may not have asked those same questions. So I actually like that bit of consumer naivety going into the product development line.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I certainly approach this with that in mind, exactly. And, I would, I sort of essentially was customer number one. And someone had once said to me, you don't have to be first at creating this particular product. You just have to be better. And I'm sure there are better products out there wherever you go, but there's always something that might appeal to, a customer who needs something to protect their hair from salt damage and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm wondering then, being in the role that you get and you've got so many different products to try and brands that are already out there, were you ever afraid of the criticism that the industry might, have on you, or that pressure?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think it wasn't so much from the industry at all. It was more my own personal sort of, I'm sure you've had this a lot, but the imposter syndrome, and immediately you do have those moments of self-doubt and fear of failure, and this is not going to work. But I think I was so lucky to I had some really great mentors and people that were so supportive, and I think it's really important when you're starting off is just never to give up, because if you do, then you kind of ultimately, will fail. But I think, you just, I think people were extremely supportive. It was just really a matter of pushing through, some of those barriers to get through. So, yeah.
For sure. And sometimes the product just speaks for itself. You don't even have to have a huge brand or, a huge influence or presence in an industry. If you show somebody the product, they just fall in love with it, and all of a sudden it becomes a no-brainer that they're going to use it. You talk a lot about, the Blondi Beach having this kind of restoration, repair, and strengthening modality about it. How does it do that? I'm curious.
Well, if we look at the hair rescue oil, that is purely a natural. It's natural ingredients. There's no synthetics, and I really wanted to focus on the moringa oil, the prickly pear, the rosemary, and some of the other ingredients, which are really each of them are high in vitamins A and C, which are incredibly beneficial to repair and restore damaged hair. I do find that my head, it does generate growth, but I know we're not allowed to sort of say that necessarily. But because of the rosemary oil, certainly it there's no doubt that it does help encourage growth, which is great. And I use it. I friends have used it, and certainly I've used it on my eyebrows and eyelashes, and I find it really makes a big difference as well. So just to strengthen and rejuvenate. So
amazing. Well, even I'm now kind of taking my skincare and cellular knowledge, and I'm kind of transferring it into hair as you were speaking there. And we know, we use these same ingredients in skincare: moringa oil, prickly pear, rosemary, and we would use those for strengthening the antioxidant quality, the vitamin C content. It's natural, but also too, it is a little bit stimulating. So when you say about that hair growth, it does make a lot of sense to me that could possibly happen.
Yeah, well, it's it's a really, I think, to be able to use these natural ingredients in that way is, I think, hugely beneficial. It's great for scalp, dry scalp as well. People suffer from dry scalp, and it's really beneficial for that. So,
yeah. I actually had an event the other day, and we were talking about this in our Facebook group, but I was at the Portsea Polo down in Melbourne, and I had a middle part in my hair, and it got burned because I wasn't wearing a hat. And so maybe that's your next product, an SPF for the hair, right?
I know. Well, that's I'll get onto that. I think I'm really interested in that space.
But and my scalp went all flaky, and I was saying to my friends, what can I put on it? There's almost this gap in the market, but this oil sounds divine if you can kind of just treat the scalp area when it is a little bit flaky, or even for dermatitis and kind of psoriasis clients as well.
Yes. Well, I think that's where, there's other ingredients like glycerin and kakadu plum, and there are claims that it does benefit psoriasis and so on. But they are, again, highly beneficial vitamin. The hair rescue oil does contain vitamin E as well, which I love using because it is has those lovely moisturizing qualities, which is great. Yeah.
Gorgeous. And so were there any points along development, branding, launching? I mean, there's so much, as you said earlier, it's not an overnight success. It looks like we've got a beautiful Instagram page and all of a sudden we're shipping out products everywhere, but there's so much in the background that's happening. Were there any of the tasks that just felt too daunting and you just thought, I'm just going to give it up? It's just not worth my time.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think one of the exciting parts about building your own brand and building your own product, and back to why I wanted to formulate it from scratch, is because I really I knew it was going to be hard, and there were going to be points along the way that I'd come up against barriers and so on. But in all honesty, it just spurs you on to keep going. and look, there have been times where I've just thought, I really don't know how to do this, and I don't have time, and I just know that I'm not the expert here, so I'm going to hand it over to someone to help me with that. And certainly from a chemist, as I mentioned earlier, I do. I formulate at home. It does look a little bit like Breaking Bad, but that's just to really develop the product sample. And then that's obviously when I go to the chemist formulator and the manufacturer to say, does this work? Is it really what I want it to do? But no, I mean, look, I think you just have to keep going. You have to keep pushing forward. And I have so much more that I want to do. I'm really only kind of very early stages. I feel I've got 4 other products that I want to get out this year, and but again, I it's that time of finding the time to do that is a big challenge, but it's okay. We just take it day to day. Yeah.
It sounds like you really thrive off, kind of finding your passion and making it come to work and actually seeing it in fruition. It's such a beautiful notion to understand the story behind the brands. Sometimes, I think we see brands and we see that they are very Instagrammable or that they've got these beautiful packages, but I actually quite like finding out the person behind the brand. So it's actually lovely to chat with you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Tamara. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. And, I watch this space. I think, I'd love to share more as the story continues, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you one more question. You mentioned 4 products there. What can we expect in 2020? You seem like you're not somebody who sits on things and waits too long.
Well, one thing, I really will. I'd love to start with my launching a shampoo and conditioner, which of course the shampoo will be sulfate free, and this conditioner will be using a naturally derived silicone. I also have a hair mask that I'm planning to roll out, and a hair serum which I am currently working on, and I hope to have that sort of finessed and ready to go, which it'll sort of protect from heat damage and kind of be, again, a bit more multi-use. And, again, using naturally derived silicones, not I'm trying to avoid, at the moment, sort of those heavy silicone products.
Yeah.
Ingredients.
Beautiful. Gorgeous. Louise, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you all things Blondi Beach Haircare today. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you, Tamara. Thank you for having me.
Louise's story has taught me that sometimes the best ideas come from the most humble beginnings, such as simply having a problem of your own and wanting to solve it. I always forget about how similar all industries are until I speak with people like Louise and find out that they too have startup worries and face many moments of self-doubt and triumph along the way, showing us that even if you think your career is sorted and most comfortable, that there's no time like the present to pivot. I'll be going and spending a little time giving back to my hair after this episode wraps up, with a little wash followed by a nourishing oil and scalp treatment to practice some self-care of my own. As always, if you have loved today's episode, Louise and I would love to hear about it, so feel free to tag at Blondi Beach Hair and at Beauty Industry, and even myself at Tamara Shaw Reid, so that we can see all of the fabulous ways that you guys are listening to today's conversation. That might even include having your hair up in a little hair mask too. While you're on your phone and in the podcast app, well, you may as well leave us a little review on your thoughts about the podcast and subscribe too, so that you can spread the word of your community and collaboration to the industry at large, or even join the Beauty Industry Facebook community to stay up with the latest across the professional beauty industry. Until next time, stay connected.